Good evening, brothers. This is Brother Percy with another Iron in Your Soul video. I want to talk about tonight the practice of semen retention in Malcolm X. I'm sitting in the kitchen in my home. Most of my videos are recorded in my office at work, but I'm at home for this particular video. Really had no intention of creating this video when I woke up this morning. It's close to 8 o'clock at night here in my home in Maryville, Indiana. And I felt compelled to do this video. In fact, to be quite honest with you, I took a nap. I was tired. I had raked the leaves in front of my house and did some work. Was able to run some errands today with my wife. Went to Menards, pick up things for the house, that type of deal. So I came home, took a nap, and I woke up with this fresh thought. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do me a video on semen retention in Malcolm X. And that's what this video is about. Most people know who Malcolm X is. He's one of the most well-known public figures from the 1960s. The autobiography of Malcolm X, written by Alex Haley, is a must-read book for you. If you've never read that book, I suggest you make that one of your books to read in 2020. I recommend that you read the autobiography of Malcolm X at least once in 2020. In fact, I may do it again. I've read the book twice myself, and I've taken notes on it. In fact, I have on a flash drive anywhere from, I guess, 8 to 12 pages, somewhere in that range, of bullet points concerning the life of Malcolm X. There's much you can learn from him. But Malcolm X, he also practiced semen retention. Now, the reason that this is so impressive, if you read his autobiography, Malcolm X was someone who came from a life of crime. He spent, I believe, close to 5 or even more years of his life in prison for armed robberies and other crimes he committed as a young man. While in prison, he was able to truly recreate himself. He's a great example of transforming your life and really becoming a totally different person. Like Malcolm X, I too spent a number of years in prison. I'm not ashamed to say that because I know I'm a new person today. I'm 36 years of age, but from age 17 to about a few months before my 20th birthday, I was in prison on 2 separate terms. I had what was called an AT case, or automatic transfer. So when I was 16, I was transferred from the juvenile prison in Chicago to the Cook County Jail on 26th in California. Everyone hears about the crimes and shootings in Chicago. The whole nation knows about that. And I think because of social media, cameras, YouTube, the information is accessible to everyone. Well, I have news for you. The murders, crimes, and shootings in Chicago is no new issue. It was happening in the 80s and 90s. And in fact, if you did some research, as I have, there were actually in some years more murders in the 80s and 90s than we see now in the quote unquote Chirac era. So that's another topic in itself. So Chicago has had a problem with violence for, we're talking now, close to 40 years. But anyway, I digress. I went to prison at a young age. 17 years of age, I was given a 6-year sentence. I ended up serving 30 months. I got out in the summer of 2002 at the age of 19, bitter, angry at the world, and to be honest, worse than when I went in. And with that type of mindset, at that time I was doing all type of things I had no business doing. Long story short, I was arrested again. And I went to prison a second time at the age of 19. That second time in, I too had a Malcolm X type of experience. In Malcolm X's case, he converted to Islam. In my case, I converted to Christianity. I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So I went from being a gang member, drug dealer, to literally a born-again, devout Christian. And at that time, at 20 years of age, I started practicing all these things we're talking about right now. This started for me right in prison. Semen retention, reading, prayers, workout, sexual purity. I was able to give up the porn addiction, which is something that most men have in prison. In fact, you don't have the access to the internet and that type of deal. But the books with naked women was very prevalent in the prison system, as everyone would guess or know. So I had that problem too as a young man. But once I converted over to Christianity, I got serious. And I had what I'm calling in this video a Malcolm X type of experience. And the reason I call it a Malcolm X type of experience, because he had the same awakening, just a different faith. He converted to Islam. In his time in prison, he was able to purge himself from all the addictions he had, sexual sins, cigarette smoking. And he began to practice the discipline of semen retention. Malcolm X, based on his autobiography and videos I've watched and articles I've read, he practiced semen retention for about 12 years straight, somewhere from 10 to 12 years straight. That's discipline, brothers. And that's something we can learn as we are on our journey of this practice or discipline of semen retention. Look at what Malcolm X accomplished. He went into prison as a young man with the nickname Detroit Red. He gets out of prison, and within 12 years of being out of prison, he was a public figure known all over the country. Who does that? Who do you know who's done that? To go from what we would call today, gangbanger, drug dealer, carrying guns, criminal, to within less than 15 years, he was known all over the country and in most parts of the world. Public figure. Very well spoken. In fact, his autobiography says he read through the dictionary from A to Z, studied it, very articulate. And as you have seen on some of these videos concerning semen retention, there is a lot of talk about the energy you'll have and that you'll need less sleep. That's true. In Malcolm X's autobiography, he mentions only sleeping or only needing 4 hours of sleep a night. And this man was traveling, speaking at universities, on the news. He was the second most sought out speaker at college campuses across America at that time. Very well spoken, sharp, articulate. He is a famous person who also practiced semen retention, in his case, over a decade. And so all of these benefits we've been talking about, mental clarity, assertiveness, having a positive or strong aura about yourself. He had all that. In fact, one person says that Malcolm X was mesmerizingly handsome, always polished, well-dressed, shoes shined, smiling, always had a good, positive, strong energy about himself. And of course, that came from his discipline as a Muslim. He would pray several times a day, I'm sure. He read a lot. In fact, he spent several hours reading each day while in prison. That's also recorded in autobiography. He would spend several hours every day reading, thinking, writing down notes, studying various subjects. So as you think about this journey of semen retention, I hope this is giving you some inspiration from the life of Malcolm X. So I want you, sometime in 2020, to read that book, but I also want you to be inspired from his consistency. He was able to go 12 years. You can do 30 days. You can do 60 days. You can do 90. You can go a whole 6 months, 1 year, several years. We see how it benefited Malcolm X. He went from a prisoner to a public figure within 10 years. That's powerful. So I hope that this was some encouraging iron in the soul. Let me explain what the iron in the soul concept means. Iron in the soul is a concept I'm taking from the Bible. There is a biblical character named Joseph. That will be a separate subject in itself as well. Joseph had a life of trials as a young man. And one particular verse in Psalms makes the statement that iron came into his soul. So that's where I get the concept from for iron in the soul. Iron in the soul speaks of intense mental or spiritual anguish. And my belief is the iron that comes into your soul, when channeled the right way, can make you strong as iron. Let me say that again. The iron in your soul, or the mental anguish, can be used by God with the right practices of semen retention, prayer, meditation, cold showers, working out, reading, learning new skills, eating better, gallon of water a day, etc., etc., etc. All of the good things we can do, all the iron that comes into your soul as a man in this world, with these disciplines, can make you strong as iron, my brother. That is my prayer for you, that you will become strong as iron. I hope that this video about semen retention and Malcom X was a help to you. Take care. Have a good day.